Hey traders, good evening. Welcome to the emishtrade.com recap video. It is Monday, February 21st, 2011. Um, crazy Monday. Happy President's Day, by the way. And I hope you had an enjoyable day off. But it looks like traders around the world didn't take the day off because the things that were happening overseas, we did see a big slide in the market today. It was pretty interesting. Oil jumped 6%. I believe it was up $8 and 50 some cents, maybe 60 cents. I don't have the exact number, but it was up quite a bit on fears of what is going on in Libya. So it spooked the market, and it's very discerning right now. Let me just give you a heads up, guys. This is really hard to trade. If you get on the wrong side of this, it can destroy your account quickly. So be very careful with this, especially tomorrow. Speaking of tomorrow, we do have news out tomorrow. We do have consumer confidence out at 10 a.m. State Street investor confidence tomorrow as well at 10 a.m. So these two things may get the market moving if it's not in the morning. But what I expect to happen in the morning is I expect some movement right off the open, whether it be more selling because people are fearful after this move and they're trying to get out of their positions, or whether we jump it up because this is just a fear-based movement and we want to continue the trend at this point in time. Hard to tell. It depends on what happens overnight. Time frame wise, Libya should be. I'm not exactly sure the time frame, but I believe it's like 9 hours difference from the United States on the Eastern time zone. So there'll be a lot happening while we're sleeping here in the United States. So who knows what we're going to open up to. We'll have to see what the Globex market does. For tomorrow, gang, sit on the sideline at least 30 minutes. Don't try to get involved with this and get whipsawed in the morning. Sit on the sideline for 30 minutes. Let this thing play out. If you have to go for a full hour, there'll be plenty of stuff to trade and there'll be plenty of time to trade. Don't get caught on the wrong side of the market on this. Okay, here's what we're going to do this week since Matt is out on vacation this week. There'll be no calls in the trade room. So we're going to work a little bit on setting up identifying a trend and how we would trade that trend. And tonight I just want to quickly cover identifying a trend. Now you're going to find this week to be very simple education. This is by no means, earth-shattering stuff, but it's very simple and very reliable. We are trend traders. We like to trade a trend. Now with that, let me say that there's trends on all different time frames, whether you're on the very lowest of time frames to the very highest of time frames, which would be a monthly and weekly. You can find trends. Now, depending on your time frames, depending on how you trade those. This is a 15-minute chart. I like to trade a 15 or 20-minute chart, and sometimes higher or lower. I use this trade for a little bit longer term intraday trade, if you will, that could last a couple days. If I go to a more of a swing trade, I use a longer time frame, maybe a 240 or maybe half of that at 120 or something along those lines. So with that, how do we identify this trend? I like to use simple trend lines. It's one of the best ways for me to identify. It's simple. I can draw these lines right here and I can see where the trend is. Now with that, you got to figure out where in the trend we are at. And I like to use a CCI for that. I like to use a 45 CCI, green above, red below the zero line, identifying shifts in the trend at that point in time. That helps me as a trader identify areas where I may want to get involved in this trend. Now once I identify a trend, now what I'm trying to do is figure out where this is in the trend and how would I trade this portion of it, or do I want to even get involved in it? Maybe we're at the end of the trend here. So first of all, we've identified a trend. That's number one. That's what we're going to do tonight. We'll do one piece at a time. Tomorrow we'll identify where in the trend this is and maybe a place that we could get involved in the trend at. So identifying the trend by trend lines. Also, I use a CCI. There's people use MACDs. There's all kinds of things out there to identify a trend. Whatever you feel comfortable with and it works for you. To me, aesthetically, this works for me. So for tomorrow, gang, I'll say it again. Stay on the sideline for 30 minutes. Keep an eye on the Globex session to see where we're at. You see here we're just sort of bouncing around in the Globex right now, but I expect more movement as we get into the European Open. Otherwise, trade well tomorrow. Hope this helps. We'll talk to you then.